good afternoon. Thank you for joining us right here on This Is Now. I'm Dylan Ancheta alongside Jonathan Masaki, who is in for Ashley. Our top story today, the Idaho woman convicted of killing her 2 children and helping stage the death of her 5th husband's former wife learned her fate in court today.
And that's right, Lori Vallow-Daybell will spend the rest of her life behind bars. And for the first time, we're hearing from Vallow-Daybell herself. Tanya Bacchus reports.
I mourn with all of you who mourn my children and Tammy.
Lori Vallow-Daybell finally broke her silence about being convicted in the murders of her 2 youngest children and a romantic rival. She spoke just before a judge sentenced her to life in prison without parole.
Jesus Christ knows the truth of what happened here. Jesus Christ knows that no one was murdered in this case. Accidental deaths happen. Suicides happen. Fatal side effects from medications happen.
Vallow-Daybell refused to admit that she played any role in the deaths of 7-year-old J.J. Vallow and 16-year-old Tylee Ryan, or her 5th husband, Chad Daybell's former wife, Tammy Daybell.
You killed those children, according to the state's theory, and I believe it, to remove them as obstacles and to profit financially. You justified all of this by going down a bizarre religious rabbit hole, and clearly you are still down there.
Vallow-Daybell appeared to show no emotion and did not look at those delivering victim impact statements in court.
You are a liar, an adulteress, and a murderer. Because of you and your desire to get what you want at any cost, my family has been ripped apart.
JJ's grandmother painted Vallow as a cold-blooded, selfish woman.
JJ and Tylee could have been with... Instead, she took all that away, all because she is a money-hungry, power-mongering monster.
Vallow-Daybell's husband, Chad Daybell, is awaiting trial on first-degree murder and conspiracy charges. Unlike his wife, he faces the death penalty. His trial is expected to start next year. Jonathan Vigliotti, CBS News, St. Anthony, Idaho.
In news over the weekend, 5 young adults were seriously injured in a crash early Sunday morning on Diamond Head Road. Honolulu EMS says the incident happened just before 1 a.m. when a group of 5 people, all between the ages of 18 and 22, were injured in the crash. HPD said a 19-year-old driver lost control and slammed into a utility pole. All 5 people in the vehicle were taken to the hospital in serious condition. The crash shut down both directions of the road for several hours. Police have not yet stated if alcohol or speed were factors. The investigation is ongoing. Over on Maui, police have identified the bicyclist who was struck and killed in Kahului last week as 59-year-old Volker Weiss of Kihei. Police say he was struck by a speeding pickup truck Thursday, which had been overtaking vehicles on Pulehu Road. The truck had crossed into the opposite lane of traffic when Weiss was hit. The driver, a 61-year-old Kulaman, was arrested for negligent homicide, but has since been released pending investigation.
Dozens took to the street in Windward, Oahu Sunday to remember the life of a 21-year-old found in the bushes in Kailua Tuesday. Loved ones of 21-year-old Acacia Brown sign waved on Kailua Road at the spot where her body was found to honor her life and raise awareness about human trafficking. Sources say Brown was discovered in some bushes Tuesday afternoon by a pair of men at the entrance of Kailua Town off Kailua Road near Hamakua Street. Medics were unable to revive her. How the young woman died is still unclear. Her sister says she was working to get off the streets.
That was our sister, and we just wanted everybody to know that she was very loved and that she meant everything to us. That was our baby.
For us to be out here today is like showing up and just like being for real about it, you know, like just letting people know that like we know what is going on. Especially when it's happening in front of our eyes.
A GoFundMe account has been set up to help cover funeral expenses. A link is on our website.
In waters off a Puna coastline, authorities have found a body in the same area where an opihi picker was reported to be missing. Now, the male body was found Sunday afternoon. Authorities said the 39-year-old Hilo man had reportedly gone opihi picking and was driving around 4:30 p.m. on Saturday near the cliffs along Old Government Road between the Hawaiian Paradise Park and Hawaiian Beaches subdivision. Investigators said the man told friends he would be gone for an hour or less, but he never came back. Multiple agencies searched the area by land and sea. The recovered body was taken to the Hilo Medical Center where an autopsy is being performed. Police are holding off on confirming if the body is that of the opihi picker as they await the results for the autopsy and the notification of next of kin.
A man died yesterday afternoon in the ocean off of Ka'ava. Officials say he was 55 years old. He reportedly became unresponsive in the water. First responders tried to save him and he was rushed to a nearby hospital, but he was later pronounced dead. No word on the exact cause of death.
Well, it's a new week with new potential indictments for the former President Donald Trump. These investigations are overshadowing the race for the White House, but GOP candidates are doing their best to stay focused on the policies. NBC's Alice Barr is on Capitol Hill.
In a week that could bring major developments in former President Trump's legal troubles.
These are ridiculous indictments.
A new co-defendant in the former president's classified documents case appearing in a Florida court today. Mar-a-Lago property manager Carlos de Oliveira is accused of trying to help Mr. Trump delete security camera footage to obstruct the investigation. Allegations the Trump team sharply denies.
What was the obstruction of justice? Because no tapes were deleted. He turned them over. He cooperated, as he always does.
At the same time, we're awaiting word of two more potential Trump indictments, both centered on efforts to overturn the 2020 election. One case in Washington, D.C., the other in Fulton County, Georgia, where security is ramping up.
Some people may not be happy with the decisions that I was making, and sometimes when people are unhappy, they act in a way that could create harm.
The legal cloud hanging over the presidential campaign as Mr. Trump's closest Republican rival, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, is trying to hit reset.
We will usher in a new era of growth, prosperity, and civic pride.
He's under fire for his state's new Black history teaching standards while facing a cash crunch and lagging poll numbers. President Biden at his vacation home in Delaware, while on Capitol Hill, his son Hunter's business dealings remain a key focus for House Republicans. Today, hearing closed-door testimony from one of Hunter Biden's former business partners.
There still is no connection of any of Hunter Biden's business dealings with President Biden.
Democrats defending their president and candidate in the next race for the White House. As former President Trump's legal troubles mount, the Washington Post is reporting his political group spent more than $40 million in legal costs during the first half of the year. Despite that, a New York Times Siena poll shows that 71% of Republican voters stand behind him amid the investigations. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
Honolulu police are warning about credit card skimmers being used in supermarkets across the island. They also can be used on gas pumps and ATMs. The devices are attached to an actual card reader, but steal the card's info when it's used. It can be very hard to see the difference between a card reader that's fine and one that had a skimmer attached. You could feel around the device, or rather you should feel around the device and notice if it feels loose or if parts of it can be wiggled around. Federal student loan borrowers may soon be able to save on their repayments once they resume in October. CNN's Chris Nguyen joins us with the details some borrowers may find very handy. How's it, Chris?
Jonathan, it's good to be with you. Yeah, the Department of Education has created similar income-driven repayment plans in the past without any successful legal challenges, which is why federal officials are hopeful this time around.
With federal student loan payments set to resume in October, some borrowers are feeling the pressure.
We'll manage, but we're going to have to tighten it up again.
But relief could be on the way. On Monday, the Department of Education launched a beta website for the Biden administration's new SAVE program, an income-driven plan intended to lower monthly payments and reduce the amount paid back over the lifetime of the loan. Under the new program, income and family size will determine the payments for current and future federal student loan borrowers, with some payments dropping to $0 per month. To qualify for $0 payments, the income threshold has been increased from 150% to 225% of federal poverty guidelines, which translates to an annual income of $32,805 for a single borrower or $67,500 for a family of 4. Other borrowers could see their payments cut in half and canceled after at least 10 years of repayment when the program is in full effect next year. The initiative comes after the June Supreme Court decision striking down President Biden's loan forgiveness program.
I'm not going to stop fighting to deliver borrowers what they need.
But the plan still comes at a cost to the federal government. Estimates range from $138 billion to $361 billion over 10 years, depending on how many people sign up.
And users can start submitting their applications today. The full website launches in August, with the full program set to take effect next year. Reporting from the nation's capital, I'm Chris Wynn, Hawaii News Now. Back to you, Jonathan.
Well, Chris, tell us, how does the application process work?
Yeah, the beta website is now up at studentaid.gov. Again, that's studentaid.gov. It takes about 10 minutes to fill out, but unlike past repayment programs, users will only have to apply one time instead of every year. So they'll get a confirmation email once they submit their information, but we've been told that this could take several weeks for the process to be finalized once you submit that application. Jonathan?
All right, well, thank you so much for those great details. You have a great day. More public school students will head back to school in about a week or so. That means it's time to pick up more school supplies. Casey Lunn has more.
Now, those 3 words most students don't want to hear this time of year, back to school, but a relief for many parents sending them back to class. For most people, again, that's August 7th, Hawaii Public Schools. But for some parents and some families, that can also cause a little anxiety, especially when we're talking about back to school supplies and even some procrastination.
They don't go to school until like after Labor Day, so I haven't even thought about it. We are probably going to be more on the side of like scrambling at the last minute, grabbing what we have in the house, and then just filling in as we see what the actual teachers want and need.
And there's a reason why you might want to budget some time for finding deals this year. Pattern, an e-commerce website, shows that school goods have risen about 5% of the last year. They gathered that data by looking at prices on Amazon. They say that's reflective of brick and mortar stores. Things like graph paper, mechanical pencils, folders, those jumped up pretty big over last year. Things like backpacks, book covers, calculators actually went down a little bit. Notebooks, pens, whiteout, things like that actually didn't change all that much.
If we were looking at what prices were like earlier this year, I think most of us have been a little more scared about what back to school might look like for parents, just because prices were up a lot more earlier this year on a lot of these goods. But inflation has sort of been tamed to some degree, right? We're seeing that downstream impact here with these products. I think that's something that we'll see, throughout the rest of 2023.
That was data expert Dallin Hatch from Pattern, who says that a lot of parents are finding deals on Amazon. Online shopping, a much bigger trend since the pandemic. And we're also talking with the Salvation Army and Captain Rachel Santiago. You folks are always helping keiki in need and families in need. Still need backpacks. Some of those were distributed already this weekend and they've gone out, but you still need some here in town as well, right? For kids and school supplies.
Yes, we do.
About how many and how can people help out?
We are in need about maybe 325 more to fill. And how can they come to get school supplies? Yes, they can simply just call us to see if they are in our zip code area, and or they can drop by here at 296 North Vineyard.
Yeah, and that goes for all the Salvation Army locations across the state. They're still looking for school supplies and backpacks. We want to send you to schoolsupplyhawaii.org. That is where you can learn about helping out or get some assistance if you need it. We also have all the information online at hawaiinewsnow.com. For now, we'll send things back to you.
Well, Hollywood is mourning the loss of yet another beloved star. Paul Rubens, who was most known for his character Pee Wee Herman, has died at the age of 70. He died after a 6-year battle with cancer that not many people knew about. Danya Bacchus has a look back at his career.
With his adolescent humor, too-tight suit, and bow tie, Pee Wee Herman was an 80s phenomenon.
I meant to do that.
The brainchild of actor and comedian Paul Rubens, the oddball character rocketed to fame with the television series Pee-wee's Playhouse and the hit movie Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
I know you are, but what am I?
In 1991, Rubens' career suffered a major setback when he was arrested for indecent exposure in a Florida theater. He retreated from the spotlight for years, but eventually made a comeback in Hollywood, culminating with Pee-wee's Big Holiday, a 2016 movie for Netflix.
You ever had two women fight over you?
Have I? No.
In a statement released with the announcement of his death, Rubens apologized for not going public with his long battle with cancer and told his fans how much he loved them and enjoyed making art for them. Danya Backus, CBS News, Hollywood.
Hundreds gathered at Thomas Square yesterday afternoon, and this was to celebrate Hawaiian Sovereignty Restoration Day. And the official holiday is today. Back on July 31st, 1843, the British returned the Hawaiian kingdom after 5 months of occupation. This year marks the 180th anniversary of the holiday.
I really feel that if the next generation comes out to these, they just learn the facts, right? They learn the truth. They learn what happened. Because, once a generation doesn't learn it, it gets lost.
La Ho'iho'i'ea celebrations continue today, with the Bishop Museum hosting an event with live music and more from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m.
After 1 month of operation for Oahu Skyline, daily ridership numbers have fallen substantially since its opening weekend. The rail, which opened June 30th, brought a whole lot of fanfare and curious riders. Nearly 72,000 people hopped aboard for a free ride during Skyline's first 5 days of operation. However, now that folks have to pay, those ridership numbers have taken a dive. According to the Honolulu Star-Advertiser, Skyline's current daily average of riders is now somewhere between 3,000 to 4,000. Officials say that the good news is that the rail system seems to be dependable, with 98.5% of trains arriving on schedule. Let's go ahead now and give you a live look over the Statue of Liberty in New York City. What a beautiful sight there. Jonathan, have you ever seen the statue yourself?
Actually, I have. It's been years, but it is, like you said, it's breathtaking. And to see that, just Lady Liberty standing there in the entryway to our country, it is a sight to behold.
That's one sight that I have yet to see myself.
Well, I know you're a traveler, so I know you're going to end up in getting there sometime. Now we're going to switch back and come back to the 50th state, and Guy Hagi with our island forecast.
How's it on this last day of July? We're now 2 months into hurricane season. Still very quiet in the Central Pacific. There's some activity, potential cyclonic activity in the East Pacific. We'll be tracking this week, but for now, things remain quiet. Rain-wise, we're even quiet on that front as well. There's not a lot of rain out there, nor much expected. If anything, we'll see a few showers this morning for a handful of windward spots. And whatever rain comes in will be moving out quickly because those trade winds will pick up speed. They'll be running at the breezy levels for the rest of the week. We're talking winds at 15 to 25 miles an hour. And that means at least humidity levels will be comfortable. And with all the sunshine, though, high temperatures are near 90 degrees. And finally, we're expecting a southwest pulse to pick up. Not a big swell, but it's the biggest we've seen in a couple of weeks. A little bigger, but a little choppier over on the east side at 3 to 5. So we've got beautiful weather for the remainder of the week, right? Breezy winds will hang on at least through Friday. So the weather pattern's not going to change very much. Get used to all the sunshine and those warm temperatures. And as we head into the weekend, the winds are expected to back down.
Thank you so much for that forecast, Guy. And thankfully, those trade winds are definitely needed because it is too hot, as you have seen.
Yes, say that.
Well, let's go ahead and check out some news from the feeds. We actually heard about this story emerging over the weekend. The city of San Francisco has cited Twitter for the flashing X sign on its company headquarters. Owner Elon Musk rebranded Twitter and its iconic bird logo into X last week. Musk tweeted a video of the building with the new flashing X logo on Saturday. City officials say they have been to the headquarters twice regarding the sign, but they were not given access to the roof to inspect it. Now, authorities issued a notice of violation for work without a permit for the sign. But according to the complaint, the company representatives told officials the X was temporarily installed for an event at the building. And on top of that, residents in the nearby towers, I've seen videos on Twitter, have been complaining because the sign is so bright at night, it just keeps them up. So that's just another debacle in this whole Twitter X rebranding thing there.
Lots to talk about.
Definitely. And let's go ahead now and give you some good news.
Yes.
There was a fun little competition in Indiana.
Right.
And if you love a mullet, this story is for you. Check it out.
Whoever said mullets weren't in style?
U.S. mullet, Mammy mullet, in the house.
If you ask those with the do, like Mammy mullet,
Mama mullet deserves this for the grandbabies.
it could even be considered a lifestyle.
Been rocking the mullet for 28 years.
For others, the hair has even deeper, more meaningful roots.
I've had it before and got it back after I had my colon cancer and decided I only have one life to live, and I like long hair.
No matter the backstory, 15 lucky mullet-wearing Hoosiers got to show off their hairdo on Saturday. The USA Mullet Championship is actually fairly new. It kicked off back in 2020.
We expected this would be a fun, small thing. Our founder, Kevin Bagola, just came up with this idea because he realized no one was doing it. And next thing we know, people like Barstool Sports and Access Hollywood and the Today Show were picking it up and sharing it without us even mentioning it to them.
Saturday marked the semifinal contest. It's narrowed down from thousands of applicants to the 15 meanest and cleanest mullets in America.
Today we're going to be learning more about the mullets, what brought them to life, what brought them into their character.
Some participants didn't know such a thing existed, but now they're walking away pretty proud of their flow.
It didn't kind of go as planned as I had planned it out in my head, and I put it out there in the universe. I wanted to take first place, but I'm very happy with third place. So it was great and grand.
But nobody left more excited than first place winner and veteran John Poor, especially after he missed out on last year's Mullet Mania.
All my guys at work are saying, you're going to win. And I'm like, no, I'm not. I'll probably be at least on the stage. And I am so shocked. Oh my God. It's been fun. It's been a blast. All the contestants were great.
Judges, are you about ready for the mullet
Well, the mullet competition.
You know, the winner of that got $500 and a chance to compete in the top 25 main event, get that main event, national championships to best mullet in America later this fall. And this raised, for $95,000 for local charities.
That's awesome. That is a good part
exactly.
there. As they say, business in the front, party in the back.
And that was exactly it with a mullet.
I love it. Speaking of parties, let's take you over to Japan now, where there is some, of course, summertime is a great time for all of their festivals. And you're looking at some video from the Sumida River Festival. It was held in Tokyo for the first time in 4 years on Saturday. More than 1 million spectators took in the pyrotechnic show in the night sky. Now, the major fireworks event was canceled in the past 3 years due to the coronavirus pandemic. Organizers said a total of about 1,035,000 spectators gathered in the area to check out all of the fireworks. So truly a beautiful sight there.
It is.
I love Japan.
You were recently there.
I was.
Right?
I'm so obsessed. It's kind of... It's just watching this makes me want to go back. We also know there was another cultural event there in Japan. Tell us about that, Jonathan.
Well, a festival featuring the reenactment of these samurai battles on horseback took place in Fukushima Prefecture on Sunday, that's July 30th. The traditional event has continued for more than 1,000 years. Participants dressed like the ancient samurai warriors and engaged in activities such as horseback racing and catching flags shot in the air. The three-day festival ran through July 31st, which is today, but that's tomorrow for them. So
yeah.
Anyway, it's Paul already, but what a great two stories in the motherland, Japan.
Yeah, I love it. Also want to give you a really quick traffic alert. Dillingham Boulevard is closed right now due to a gas leak. Jonathan, do you have the streets for that?
Yes, so it's on Dillingham between Kalihi and Moku'ea Street, okay? So just be aware of that, as Dylan was saying. The shutdown will continue. We'll give you more updates, obviously during our traffic updates this afternoon. But, that's an alert that we're tracking for you today.